Anyone who follows Still Moving online will have seen a whole myriad of shoots where we are taking out an enormous amount of equipment, very large crews, and doing some really quite complicated setups. And I wanted to take a little bit of time in this video to offer the counterpoint to this, because a lot of the time when we're posting online, the more interesting things that people get excited about are the equipment side and all of that sparkly stuff, which is really eye-catching for people who are into filming or photography. It must be said that on a lot of our shoots, we don't actually roll out, even though we potentially could, with that whole gamut of equipment, whether it is lighting or grip or even crew. So sometimes it will be a very minimal setup. There are several shoots that I wanted to talk about that kind of highlight this, and interestingly enough, they're really all fashion shoots. And this means that some of the shoots which we perhaps are most proud of in terms of how they look and the aesthetic that we've achieved are actually those shoots that required the least amount of crew or equipment. There are several shoots that I want to look at, and the first of these is our fashion shoot in Paris. On the filming side, I just had a single camera, so that was the Ursa Mini Pro, and then that was rigged up with a follow focus system, so that I could hold the camera really steady and still throw focus quite easily without having to twist around, because that always induces a little bit of wobble. And that was supported with the Easy Rig, so I was able to run a gun all day without really feeling it on my shoulders. So I'm basically handheld for the entire shoot. For modifying our light, we only had one instrument with us to do that, and that was a Lastolite 1 meter by 2 meter reflector. The photography team did have some flashes, but obviously on the film side, I'm not going to be using those. Because we did have a few crew members around, when I was doing a shot, the photography team, Spencer and Phil, could be holding a reflector, or if we did need to work on the same shot at the same time, our production assistant could hold it just to make sure that we were all able to get the shot really fast. The biggest thing that you can do when you're operating this way to get really nice shots is work with the natural light that you've got. That means a little bit of planning ahead of time, so you know where the light is going to be. If you want to get a shot, for example, of the Louvre, you don't want to be there at midday. You want to try and wait till there's nice golden light coming in, backlighting the whole plaza there, and you can get some really lovely shots. Indeed, we were very lucky. The weather was with us, and we managed to get an awesome golden hour shot. We had the Lastolite frame bouncing light in from the left-hand side, so we're matching the same side that the sun is acting as a backlight on, and that's just kicking in, lighting the side of her face, lighting the garment, and all of the colors pop. It's one of my favorite frames, I think, ever. Just the look of this and the way it all came together, running over crank on the Ursa, with the building in the background, and everything just feels right. Now alongside this, we also have the shots with the sun coming in, and that red sky, and that wonderful silhouette of the whole building with the pyramid in the background and the model in the foreground. The last shot we got in Paris was down in the subway, and it'd taken all day for everyone to get comfortable with what they were doing and really start to let loose. So I managed to convince our wonderful model and designer Karina to jump over to the other side of the platform and dance as the train left the platform. So she's dancing, her skirt, which is made out of ties, is kicking out, and it's just such a perfect ending to that sequence. And I'm so glad that it worked out that way, because we had all had enough by that point. It had been a really long day, and we almost canned that location. I think that this shoot in Paris has to be one of my favorite fashion shoots. For something where I had such a minimal setup, and we had no support crew with lighting or anything like that, it certainly manages to make the most use out of what was available to us in terms of lighting, in terms of the time that we're in different places. So using areas that are in the shade when it's really harsh at midday and just bouncing a little bit of light in just to fill on the right side of the model, or going to a location where we could control the lighting, like in the subway, but obviously we can't bring anything down there, we don't have anything with us, and just trying to find the best angle that's going to be visually interesting enough to carry that, even if you can't control all of the lighting. And with the copper, with the platform, with the movement of the model and the train, it is enough in a frame to make it work. You don't necessarily need that extra step of controlling the light as well in that situation. I think as a whole, as a product, I'm so happy with the way that that parachute came out, and it is just one reflector and then a careful positioning of the camera in each location that we get to.